Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Frozen Oil. Once again, it's Rich. Terry in the house. What's up, Terry?
Hey, Rich.
What a game, eh? Oh my god. They just can't let us not be extremely stressed out. Like, it's unbelievable. I would have rather just lost that game prior to tying it up and lost it rather than tying it up and losing it in that fashion.
Well, the Oilers saw what Winnipeg did that one game and decided they had to outdo it for drama, I guess.
Yeah. And they had a 2-0 lead, which, like, I'm like, all right, like, let's just, in playoff hockey, man, like a 2-0 lead, you got to build on that and you got to close it out. But
you know what the crazy thing though, Rich, was when we were watching the game the whole time, Sam kept saying 2-0 lead, worst lead to have in hockey. So I think he might have jinxed it along with all the other jinxes that happened.
Yeah, there was a lot of jinxes last night. A lot of signs. I was just
hockey gods got back.
Well, Terry, we woke up to, first off, the Stuart Skinner is in net news, and Calvin Pickard's suddenly injured. Like, talk about dropping a massive news without, you know, any sort of expectation that was going to happen. I right when I heard that, I'm like, oh no. I just felt that the way it happened, like, how did he even finish the first game if he's so injured?
That's the crazy thing. I don't know how he did, and he played well in that overtime as well. Like, he made some key saves in that overtime. I mean, I was more of an optimist when I heard that. My buddy messaged me saying that Pickard is injured and Skinner was starting, and I immediately went to X to double check, and of course the NHL on TNT was saying that happened, but I don't trust the NHL on TNT. And I was kind of more of an optimist. I was thinking back to last year. You know, Skinner got pulled. He had a little bit of time off in that Vancouver series last year, and then he, you know, in kudos to him, he came back and he played, you know, really well for the Oilers. So I was hoping that was the Stuart Skinner that we were going to get back, but unfortunately, it was not the case.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't. And if you ever want, like, an opportunity at redemption, I mean, getting that start up 2-0 in the series. First, you're on home ice. I mean, that is got redemption game written all over it.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen, unfortunately. And, yeah, the Oilers, let's get to these stats. And I'm sure we're going to keep chatting about this. But let's get to these stats here and kind of chat about what happened. Before we do that, let's take a quick moment to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel. We are over 830 subscribers, so getting closer to 900. So thanks to everyone that has subscribed, and anyone that is going to hit that subscribe button right now, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So heading to these stats, looking at these stats.
There's your first jinx right there. Right when we open up the page, there's your first jinx right there.
Nicholas Roth.
No, Corey Perry. I told you this yesterday. Corey Perry shouldn't have scored. We should have let Vegas score it first.
Yeah, it's crazy the come from, but we still had the opportunity at this point here.
Yes.
When they made it 3-2, we still had the opportunity. We tied it. We still could have done a seventh come from behind victory, but
we almost did. But then if you look at that and keep scrolling down, that's where you'll find the second jinx in there as well, right there. Connor McDavid should not score tying goals for the Oilers because it just ends up.
That is blasphemy, Terry. You can't put Jinx and Connor McDavid in the same category.
My gosh! Well, he's been jinxed when he comes through for the Oilers and then ties up the game late. It happened obviously this game, and it happened against LA with the flutter puck.
Yeah, and they both ended in regulation right before overtime. That's crazy. That's insane.
I think there was a minute and a half left, maybe in the game one against the Kings, and of course, 0.4 seconds in this game.
Yeah. Crazy. Statistically, shots on goal, Oilers, the offense kind of sputtering a little bit. Only 20 shots on goal for the Oilers. 24 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Face-offs 57-42 in favor of the Oilers. Everyone knows I love that stat, and once again it comes through. Power plays, only 2 power plays per team. The Oilers capitalize on one with a Corey Perry's second goal of the game. And the hits department, Oilers with a healthy 33. Vegas continuing to hit everything moving with 42. Blocked shots, giveaways pretty close. And takeaways as well, 5-4 in favor of the Golden Knights. As far as the scoring goes, Perry with 2 big goals to give the Oilers a huge cushion, 2-0. But Nicholas Roy, who shouldn't even be playing in this game in my opinion, he should have been suspended at least 1 game, if not way more, gets somehow off the hook for that disgusting cross-check to Frederick's face and puts the Vegas Golden Knights on board to make it 2-1. Then Riley Smith just walks through the Edmonton defense like nothing, makes it 2-2. Carlson puts the Kings ahead, makes it 3-3 on a pretty nice passing play. And then McDavid ties the game. Until McDavid tied the game, Terry, if you look here, 17:05 in the second period, it wasn't until, basically a whole period later till the Oilers tied the game. And actually that whole time it was just the Oilers were not the better team. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Oilers were the better team for about the half of the first period. And then even the second half of the first period, Vegas began to take over, dominated, I think, in the second period. And again, even at the beginning of the third period, the Oilers really weren't doing it. It seemed like they came out flat, and then they poured it on a little bit near the end of that third period, before obviously Riley Smith scoring that game-winning goal.
And you can't dominate a team, any team for that matter, in the NHL. Every single time you play, especially in a 7-game series in the playoffs.
Well, I was on.
And then obviously the backbreaker, less than a second left. Riley Smith. I
was on
one
Twitter,
of my buddies mentioned to me that's a series killer, and I quote, series killer, not game killer, series killer. And I disagree with that. It was a bad goal, but the Oilers had the game tied before that, and it was kind of a fluky goal. Yes, there was a bad line change before that goal went in. Yes, there was, Darnell Nurse lying down on his stomach way before the shot came. There was Skinner going way too far out of the crease, and there was just a bad deflection off Draisaitl's stick. That puck was going nowhere near the net. So a bad sequence event for that goal. But I don't consider that that was just a fluke goal. And that happened, unfortunately, with not enough time left for the Oilers to tie it back up and go for a win. But I don't know. My view on Game 4 here coming up is who I think they are, Terry. I think the Oilers are this team of destiny, and you're not going to have it every game, but we did hit a lot of posts. Again, it could have been a different game, even though our shots were so low. We rung off a few posts. I think Hyman had 2 crossbars just himself. Yeah. And I just feel that next game our offense is going to just come alive, and they're going to take a stranglehold on this series. They cannot let the Vegas Golden Knights back into this series. They can't. So to me, this Game 4, Terry, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's more like Game 5. And you know how important Game 5s are. So to me, it's super important for the Oilers to take advantage of having this game on home ice, taking a 3-1 series lead, going into Vegas, having an opportunity to close out the series there, or bring it back home and close it out. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I don't believe it's a series killer. I think the Oilers are too good of a team. They have too much experience now for that one game to be a series killer. Is it deflating? 100%. But the Oilers fought hard in Vegas to take those 2 games for them. And we talked about this. They had a buffer coming back to Edmonton. None of us, a lot of the critics, nobody thought the Oilers were going to sweep Vegas, us included. I mean, you took them in 5, I took them in 6. But like you said, now that buffer is gone, right? They were allowed to have that one. It was a tough pill to swallow, but that buffer is gone. Game 4s are notorious for being other than, elimination games, the most important game in a series, right? It could have very well been 3-0 going into Game 4, but it's 2-1 now. And what's going to happen is Game 4, it's either going to be 2-2 with Vegas, all the momentum going back home with home ice advantage, or the Oilers can cripple Vegas and go up 3-1. So the next game is going to be absolutely crucial for the Oilers, and I think they're going to rebound back.
Yeah, and I agree with you there.
I mean, the big thing, Rich, and I was on Twitter, and I seen this a few days ago, and it was kind of funny, and it played kind of in the opposite way today. But some guy on Twitter kind of posted this. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, in order to beat the Oilers, you got to play 60 minutes of good hockey, which is true. Vegas played, pretty much a full game of good hockey. And to the Oilers' credit, in order for the Oilers to beat a team, they need to play 5 minutes of really good hockey. Right?
Yeah, I saw that.
For some reason, the Oilers can be absolutely dominating, and the Oilers will just flick a switch out of nowhere, and they come back. And it went against the Oilers last game. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But we have that in our back pocket. Hopefully the Oilers can put up, a good 60 minutes. But we do have that where the Oilers can just, turn it on at some part of the game and come back. And of course, that's a kind of a hyperbolic statement. It's kind of an exaggeration, but we kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's playoff hockey, right? Like,
yeah.
There's going to be ups and downs. You got to be able to deal with it. But the fact that we took 2 in Vegas just gives us that cushion, that kind of, room for mistakes, room for errors, like Game 3 was. That was just an error. It could have been easily, it could have gone to overtime. You never know what happens, and the Oilers take it in overtime, but it didn't happen, and thank God for that cushion. So, Speaking of Twitter, Terry, we are on Twitter X. You can follow us there at Frozen Oil Hockey. And we are now going to switch on over to the part, definitely my favorite part of the show, which is Twitter X. And let's go to that right now. So the first one here is from us. I don't know if you knew, Terry, but Haas and Sam were live on location in front of Rogers Place in the Ice District. They were interviewing some fans. We're putting together a bunch of the clips to post the video, but let's just take a sneak peek at one of them here.
My name is Haas, and I am here with
Dana.
Dana, pleasure to meet you. I got a couple of questions for you today. How do we feel about Stuart Skinner in net?
Honestly, I wasn't too happy.
Oof. Can you give me a reason why?
Oh, I wasn't too happy.
Yeah, remember, guys, this is before the game.
Yeah, this is before the game.
Before the
for
game.
Sure.
This wasn't after the game. This is before the game.
Yeah, but it's like, tell us how you really feel, right away. Honestly, I wasn't too happy.
I hear you. All right, with that being said, let me ask you about a score prediction for this evening.
I say 3-4 Oilers. Yeah.
4-3 Oilers.
Yeah.
You heard it from Dana. Now, let me ask you this. What is your lucky charm on Oilers game day?
It's 4-3
Honestly,
Vegas.
the supper.
Wow. Shout out Mama Stanley. With Mama Stanley's signature. That is cool, beautiful. Thank you, Dana. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, that was awesome. So thanks, Dana, for doing that. Good job, Haas. Good job,
Stanley,
Sam.
Rich, and we forgot, shout out to all the mothers today as well. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say that towards the end. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Ice District was just electric yesterday. It was just unfortunate that they couldn't come up with the win. I don't know, Terry, just after the game, we were together watching the game, and it was just like, it seemed like everybody just wanted to go home right after
on a Saturday night, right? And
on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
100%.
It was such a big flip as well. You can usually tell. You can usually tell if downtown is buzzing when Jasper Ave is slow, because everybody's out in the ice district, and it felt kind of slow on Jasper Ave because everybody flocked to the ice district that day. But right after the game, it did seem like everybody just wanted to go home.
Yeah, everybody had enough.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one here from Spoked Z. Yella Leon all you want, but Skinner was in another zip code for absolutely no reason. And you can see there he's really, really out of the net there quite a bit. Next one is from Stony Oil. He is a very vocal anti-Skinner fan, and here we go. Quote, Skinner forced him wide. Smith still had an angle at the net. Carlson was backdoor. Draisaitl had to block the pass or shot because Skinner didn't play his position. End of story.
Yeah, and you know what? I get, I'm not an NHL goalie. I get it's a fast game and all of that kind of stuff. But there were multiple instances throughout the night where Skinner just seemed uncomfortable, out of position, kind of flopping around like a 90s Hasek kind of style. And it kind of bit the Oilers in the ass last night.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of these posts are about Skinner coming up, and it's not like that's what we chose. It's just that's what everybody was talking about. It was the talk of the town, talk of the night. This next one, Terry, is from the Two Mutts Hockey Podcast, and this one just blew my mind. And I'm not gonna read all of it because it's so long. But I mean, look at the size of this tweet. And this is a completely pro Skinner tweet, calling out any fans that have anything to say about his decisions and his goaltending. And I just wanted to touch on it here from the Two Mutts Hockey Podcast. Stuart Skinner is a great NHL goalie. I mean, we're already in a territory here where we're in disagreement. Stuart Skinner has faced some unfortunate circumstances by fans. And last night he played a really strong game for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, is this a April Fool's? Is it April 1st?
Listen, I like Stuart Skinner. He's a hometown guy. I feel for him. I know, playing in the Canadian market can be pretty hectic. It can be very stressful. But we also have to look at the flip side. Like, these are NHL goalies. Like, these are the cream of the crop. And so I don't know what these guys were watching. I disagree with them. Skinner did not really play that good of a game last night.
I mean, they're calling out fans here, which that's what we are, Terry. We are fans at the end of the day. And this is a fan channel. And calling out the fans to be more supportive of Skinner, I mean, this just goes on and on and on and on. And it ends with, the future is bright with Skinner, and we finish with a small prayer for Stuart Skinner. I mean, man.
It's a weird post. It's a weird post.
This is one of the weirdest posts I've ever seen in my life. And on top of that, like, we're sports fans, Terry. We've played sports. We've watched sports our whole lives, not just hockey. We're into basketball, baseball, football, you name it, soccer. Even tennis. Like, we're just sports fans, and I'm getting tired of this. Like, stop giving your opinion on the professional athlete that gets paid millions of dollars, to play the sport. Stop giving your opinion on it and be nice. Like,
yeah,
I just don't understand that. Like, isn't that part of being a fan? Isn't that not our right? If we're paying the money to buy all this stuff, to go to these games, to dedicate our time and watch all the advertising when the game is live, like, is that not our right to call out what we think of the athlete that's playing?
Yeah, 100% it is. And, I guess maybe they are kind of singling out some people that might take it to the extreme. But for the most part, everybody that's kind of in the middle between both sides of the spectrum, 100% they should be able to kind of voice their opinion and give their take on everything.
Well, I'll tell you this. You can pray all you want for Stuart Skinner to suddenly change into another goalie. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The fact of the matter is there has now been a 3-year window that we've looked at here, and some of these mistakes that you can let slide in year 1 and year 2, they simply can't keep happening. The same style of mistakes cannot continue to. I mean, at one point, Terry, there was 2 goals on 4 shots.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, regardless of the situation and the defense and all that, like, as an NHL goalie, you can't come in, repeat it time after time after time after time, and have these 2 goals on 4 shots, 1 goal on 0 shots, 1 goal on 2 shots. Like, it's just, at some point, you as the NHL, you as a professional athlete, have to say to yourself, this is not happening anymore. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%. And I think that's the big thing, the big difference you get between Pickard and Skinner here, Rich, is Pickard, you know what you're going to get from him. You're not going to get some athletic goalie making these athletic saves and, you know, all flying all over the crease. He's going to be kind of, you know, stay at home. He's going to make some saves. Like, his stats aren't necessarily way better than Skinner's, right? But he makes those timely saves. You know, he's in the right position when he needs to be. Yesterday, Skinner was kind of all over the place, and that was not just on that goal that you're showing right now. I think he was out of place on that one. If he would have just kind of stayed in his crease, we'd probably be in overtime and the Oilers could have won. But even on Nicholas Waugh's goal, when he kind of got handcuffed, didn't know where the puck was, and then he reached behind him, I think, and of course the puck falls out from him. If he would have just kind of stayed in the position that he was in, we would have got the whistle, we would have moved on. But he tried to reach behind him, fell out of place, the puck fell down, and they got the rebound. Even on William Karlsson's goal, Karlsson didn't necessarily have he didn't roof this, have a laser to the top right corner, over his glove. He hit it right into Skinner, right? And, Skinner, I think, should have made that save as well. Yeah. So Skinner just seems to be kind of, flailing all over the place, out of position, where the Oilers need just somebody to, stay at home, freeze the puck.
Stop going out of the net, man.
So,
just
exactly.
And stop going out of the net. Like, every time he goes out of the crease, it's like my blood pressure goes through the roof. Like, just
even on that
stop going
wraparound,
out of the net.
Even on that wraparound, he was out of position, and he made the save on that wraparound. It was a great save, but he probably wouldn't have to slide across the whole net if he would have just kind of stayed in position on that wraparound.
100%. Next one from Greg Bonnert. Call me a traditionalist, but I feel Skinner should probably be somewhere in this picture. That's hilarious. Next one from Dan Fika. What's up, Dan? And we knew you were going to have something to say, but I think you're all Skinnered out. And Dan Fika says, Stu Skinner, you are just so bad. Next one from Oilers John. It doesn't matter who was at fault for the late goal last night. It was more than one player, by the way. On to Game 4 tomorrow, where the Oilers will take a 3-1 series lead and make us forget about yesterday. So, I don't know, just I hope that's the case. I feel that's what's going to be the case. Terry, what are your thoughts on putting this game behind them and just moving on to the next one?
They have to. All right, it is what it is, right? They were in the game, right? Although I think Vegas for the most part dominated that game, but they were still in it, which should give them some hope. There were some positives in the game. I mean, our special teams, for the small time that they were on the power play and the small time that they were on the penalty kill, played well. They killed off both of Vegas's power plays, and we scored one for 50% on the power play. McDavid was shooting yesterday, right? There was a lot of talk for McDavid to start shooting. So, there are some positives in the game. And with how bad the Oilers played, I think they were still in it. So that's all they got to do. They got to brush this one off. And I think any player will kind of tell you that, that game is in the past. Now we need to move forward, focus on to Game 4.
Yeah, and that's why winning 2 in Vegas is so gigantic. Next one from DNL. Oilers are the only undefeated team in the playoffs when their starting goaltender is in net, 6-0.
I don't, yeah.
This guy cracks me up, Terry, this DNL. He, honestly, some of his posts, like, he relates things that have nothing to do with the Oilers.
Yeah, that's why I kind of seen that post and it took me
it's funny. It's funny, man. Next one from Captain Jack. Shout out Captain Jack. Stuart Skinner, 3 games played in the playoffs, 0 wins, and a .817 save percentage with 5.36 goals against average. Those are some jaw-dropping goaltender stats.
Playoff numbers, yeah.
Especially the playoffs, yeah. Next one from Oilers Hank Hill. The Oilers haven't lost since they played Skinner, and then they lose the next time he plays. I know many come up with excuses for him, but the stats don't lie. So just follow up to the actual stats with a tweet there from Oilers Hank Hill. The stats don't lie, Terry.
They don't, and here's a take, Rich. I get it. Stuart Skinner's our number 1 goalie. We want to give him a chance. If Pickard stays injured, do you bring Rodriguez in?
I don't know, man.
Do you bring third stringer in? It cannot, if it starts to get worse than this, let's just say Stuart Skinner, knock on wood, or there's win next game, but let's just say Stuart Skinner gets run out of the game tomorrow. Do you bring in Rodriguez or do you stick with him if Pickard is still injured?
I'll say this. If Pickard, let's just say it's a for sure that Pickard would play in game 5 or game 6. It's for sure. I feel you just have to go to Skinner. I just feel Rodrigue is he's too new to this whole environment. And there's no way on earth I would be putting Rodrigue, a fresh young goalie that, got 1 game maybe, I think, in the regular season, mostly in Bakersfield. You're just going to throw him into game 5, series tied up at 2 in Las Vegas. I wouldn't do that myself. But if the Edmonton Oilers organization knows that Pickard is not coming back in this series, for example, and Skinner, gets run out in game 4, I would definitely consider putting in Rodrigue. Maybe not in game 5, but I would really consider putting Rodrigue in maybe in a new series. I just feel that's why we were so upset at the trade deadline, Terry.
Yes.
We talked about this. We talked about what if an injury occurs. We're always going to play the hot goalie here. And what if an injury occurs? Okay, that's happened now. We should have got somebody that was like an older veteran netminder, like a Pickard that could, come in and just play a solid game for you here or there till the injury's over or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is
Mike Smith still on our payroll? Or are we bring him back?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wish, man. It's just so hard to predict what's going to happen. And that's why you try to solidify as many, of these possible scenarios that might occur before they happen. And unfortunately, the Oilers are in a situation here, man. The Oilers are in a situation.
We talked about it. They're going to come back tomorrow, and I think they're going to have a good game tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's where this losing in Game 7 kind of experience and hunger really is going to come out. And so let's not go overboard here with all these scenarios. But I do believe that as soon as Calvin Pickard is healthy, he gets to the crease again. For sure.
Oh, for sure. And it's that kind of old adage that you don't lose your position to injury. For sure, they'll give it back to him if he's 100%. But the Oilers like Stuart Skinner, right? As a teammate, I don't think they're gonna let him let him out to dry next game.
They're definitely going to have to play a little bit better. I mean, Riley Smith is not young. He should not be going through your defenseman like Swiss cheese and going right to the hole. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what the bad thing about that, Rich, was I think that play, and that was literally 10 seconds from their zone to our zone. And who I think is actually going to have a monster game next game is Draisaitl. He has not looked really good the past couple games. And if you actually watch that play, he pinched for some odd reason. I don't know why. And Riley Smith, you know, at their blue line just went right around him. And by that time, he gained speed. Or William Karlsson, I think, went around him, gained speed. And Draisaitl had to end up, you know, coming from behind, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's Knobloch, Terry, but I mean, they did the same kind of go for the jugular, don't let it go into overtime kind of pinch.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just playing it safe and getting it to overtime, they just
100%.
They pinched there. They pinched in game 1 when they tied it up for no reason. Just get it to overtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but they didn't learn. They didn't learn, and they need to learn now, because that's 2 events in 2 straight playoff series where you did not play it safe, and it bit you. It bit you hard.
Yeah.
Next one from DC at David _co. I don't ever want to see Stuart Skinner play for the Edmonton Oilers ever again. Yeah, I don't know what more we can say to that. Next one from Brandon Suark 88. Oilers time to take Ty out and insert 51. Love Ty, very happy re-signed. Coaches don't trust him, especially at even strength, and our PK isn't good anyways. Stetch is a better D-man, gives you everything he has, gives you 3R, 3L. Has to happen. Ty's time will come. And I agree with this. I loved Stetcher, especially the last, I would say, 10, 15 games of the season. He was playing solid. Always has the effort, and I would love to see Stetcher see some ice time.
Yep, I agree on that one right there. We even had the chat when Ekholm comes back, which defenseman do you have to get rid of? But I think, you know, Ty Emberson would have to be that guy.
Yeah, and Ty's still a young guy, so I mean, he's getting a lot of experience, but I mean, we gotta move stuff around when things aren't clicking a little bit.
Yeah.
Next one from Let's Go Oilers. The part that annoys me most is that Skinner does not take accountability most of the time. First goal, he fell on his butt. Second goal, Smith made a great play. Third goal, right through him. Fourth goal, he's not even in the frame. Oilers got to score a minimum 5 goals every time he starts. I mean,
and unfortunately, that's the way the Oilers have won all season. I think very rarely you're going to see an Oilers 2-1 victory.
I mean, Let's Go Oilers just summed up Oilers hockey like
100%.
Right there with one tweet. It's so chaotic, and again, it's unfortunate that you gave him a start with a 2-0 series lead and a 2-goal lead, and we still lost. Next one from Fulton Reed. It's funny that the Oilers fans are all shitting on Skinner. Was he out of his net? Yeah, but if you watch the goal, he angled Smith to an area. There was no way he could score. The puck was going to miss the net by like 2 feet. You know who is to blame? Leon Draisaitl. And I mean, this one made the cut because I just wanted to start off by saying, it's funny that Oilers fans are all shitting on Skinner. Was he out of the net? ? Yeah, but. And it's just like, I'm tired of the buts, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the buts. I'm tired of the reasoning. I'm tired of the whatever. Just give us a stop. Give us a 100%. Stop.
You sit in your crease and you hug that post, and we're in overtime.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story.
Here's a funny one from Ryan Whitney. Oilers playoff hockey. Yeah. That was definitely me on the drive home, sticking my head out the window.
Yeah.
Trying to shake that game off.
Yeah, shaking your head.
Another one from Stony Oil. Why are we blaming the best Oiler of all time for trying to block a shot when his goalie's in the corner? What the F is wrong with all of you? And that's just another angle. Man, like, he is way out there.
Yeah, he's he's way out of position. And I don't think anybody's blaming Draisaitl on that tip-in, blaming him for that as a goal. I do blame. Blame's a harsh word, but like I said, Draisaitl didn't have a very good game. He had a lot of turnovers, lost a lot of pucks. It seemed like Vegas was just kind of all over the Oilers. They won those small battles on the half boards, down low. Anytime the Oilers would get the puck, Vegas was on top of them.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for the episode, Terry. I will say this. You're not gonna. I mean, if you're a worried Oiler fan right now, I don't think this is the time to be worried, because we still have a 2-1 series lead. The next game is on home ice, and the Oilers are gonna learn from their mistake. They know they have to play harder. So, I mean, everything is in the favor of the Edmonton Oilers at this moment. And like we said, Terry, game 4 is going to be gigantic.
Yeah, the game 4, could determine where the series goes for sure, 100%.
All right, cool. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. We look forward to bringing you some more content. And thanks, Terry, for hopping on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
And last but not least, and most importantly, Oilers go.
Channels you need, Oilers on the ice, unstoppable speed. Chasing the cup, we're gonna succeed. With David leading, we're built to exceed.